Hey everyone, it's Miss Elliott here with our Keith Haring inspired artwork this week. This week I gave you guys 3 different lessons depending on what you want to do and what you have at home. Hopefully you're at least able to do one of them. This one requires a piece of black paper and 2 different colors. It doesn't matter what color you could use. You could do any 2 colors you want, and glue. And a pencil, of course, because we're going to be drawing our Keith Haring inspired figure. All right, so again, if you want to do my art project, you have to have 2 different color pieces of paper, piece of black glue, and a pencil. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to sketch our figure. If you need more practice, grab some white paper, some line paper, and keep practicing. So one of these is going to be your background, and one of them is going to be your person. I think I like the orange on top of my blue, so I'm going to do my orange first. This is my figure. Last week, when we practiced, we made them kind of small. This week, we're going to make them pretty big. I wanted to fill up almost my whole page of paper. So the first thing we do to make a Keith Haring figure, he didn't do this because he was really good at making the figures. As you get better, you might not have to do this first step, but I still like to do it because I'm still practicing too, is you draw your stick figure of your person in motion. All right, so you draw your head of your person. Then you could decide what you want the arms to do. You do not have to follow Miss Elliott. If you've been practicing your stick figure, keep practicing. If you don't have any ideas, feel free to use Miss Elliott's. So I'm gonna put the hands up, I think. Maybe this hand out. I've been making so many, I don't know what I wanna do. And then we'll make the body, and then the feet are the last thing. So maybe I'll make his feet come this way. And then the other foot come that way. And if you don't like it, take your eraser and fix it, or you don't have to even use your eraser because we're gonna actually, oh, I forgot to say, you're gonna need scissors too today. We're gonna be cutting this out. And so you could actually, and you won't be able to see your sketch marks. So you can do it, sketch it as many times as you want, erase as many as you want, go right over it. Okay, remember our next step to doing our Keith Haring figure is we're going to trace around it to make it thicker. Keith Haring did not have stick figures in his painting. He had actual people with movement, so we don't want stick figures. So we're gonna just trace around. I always do usually the same size head. If you wanna make your head bigger or smaller, now's your chance. His people didn't have necks, so I always try to draw mine without a neck. If you want your guy to have a neck, you're welcome to do that. And see, I don't like that line, so I'm going to erase it and just draw it again. I think I'm gonna go this way with it. All right, and the feet. I'm gonna curve the back a little bit and then right around with the other hand, back to it. And if you see, I don't like, this one's a little bit bigger, so I'm gonna go back, and I'm not even gonna erase, because like I said, we're going to cut it out, so it doesn't matter. So I just need to remember, I'm not cutting that part. All right, and then you're gonna cut out your figure. I'm gonna go ahead and pause it. I'm just cutting around. I'll show you a little bit and then I'll pause it so I can finish. You're going around. You're not going to your stick figure. You're going around where the outside of it was, all the way around, and you wanna cut it in one piece. Now, the one thing I want you to make sure of is that your figure is not too skinny. If it's too skinny, as you're cutting, it might break. So if you think your figure's too skinny, go ahead and add some volume to it. Just go around it again and make your figure a little bit bigger. All right, I'm gonna pause it. I'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back and my figure is all cut out. Here's my lines. So the one thing I want you to do is we're about to glue this down. I want you to make sure you glue it like this. I don't want to see any of those pencil lines. Okay, so here's my pencil lines. That's where I'm going to put the glue. I'm going to use liquid glue. If you want, you could also use a glue stick. That would be fine too. All right, and you're gonna glue it on your black paper. So here's my black paper. I'm gonna flip it over. And you can glue it anywhere as long as there's black around it, because we're gonna be cutting it again. So you wanna make sure you don't wanna do it on the edge or anything like that. Let's see, I got some glue there, so I'm just gonna wipe it a little bit. All right, and press it down. All right, your next step, you're going to cut it again. Now remember, Keith Haring always had black outline around his figure, so that's where our black paper is going to come into play. We're going to cut around it, but we want to leave some black so we can still see that beautiful black line. So So I'll leave my camera on this time so you guys watch. So if you see there, I'm leaving some black around it. If you're really little and your parents are home, you could always ask your parents to help you with this one. But I like my artists to practice all by themselves. It doesn't matter if your art isn't perfect. The more you practice, the better you'll get. So if you don't practice and let other people do it for you all the time, you're never going to get better. So in my art classroom, I always make the kids try it themselves. You go all the way around the whole entire figure, leaving about the same. Try to be as consistent as you can. But if you look at mine, mine's not perfect all the way around. And I bet Keith Haring, even, his lines weren't always identical all the way around, especially because he used paint. Paper crafts are one of my favorite things to do. I love making stuff out of paper. I think maybe because the line, you don't have all those paint strokes like you have in paint or with markers. So I like how perfect it kind of looks, the color. Same with if I would have used Sharpie, I might have been able to see some lines around it. Feel free to pause the video if it takes you a little bit. Miss Ellie's been cutting for a very long time. Many, many years. So if you need some time, feel free to stop the video, pause the video, and continue to cut. All right, once you have it cut, you're ready to go on to the last step. So we're gonna take our cute little figure. Well, actually, there's 2 more steps. I just threw away my block paper. I'm gonna need it, okay? So we're going to glue it again down onto our blue paper, because our blue paper is gonna be our background paper. So whatever you chose as your background paper is what you're gonna use now. Try to glue it as flat as possible. You don't want any little piece sticking up. All right. I'm just pushing down. If you're using liquid glue, you want to push all the way down around it so the glue goes all over your little guy. If some comes out, it's okay. It dries pretty good. You might still be able to see a little bit, but not much. All right, our last step is we're going to do those movement lines. You could do this with marker, but I think it's cooler since we're actually doing a paper craft to do it with paper. So I think I'm gonna have some movement lines around his arms. I think his arms are more in movement. His legs look a little stagnant, which means they're like staying still. All right, so I'm just going to cut me a little black paper, all right? And I'm just gonna do movement lines. Movement lines are just little curves. You could even do straight lines, it doesn't matter. All right, so if we see, right here we have one movement line. I'll do 2 movement lines over here. This kind of finishes off your Keith Haring because he always had like movement lines, all these different lines around his paintings. I'm gonna do one over here. Oh, last one. All right, and you're gonna use paint to glue to put those down. I think I'm actually, yeah, I'll use glue. I thought I might want to use a glue stick, but well, you continue with my liquid glue. All right, last thing we do as artists, we sign our work. So develop that signature, but for right now, you could just write your name on it in the corner. It's not a huge part of your art, but it still needs to be there. All right, artists, I hope you had fun making your Keith Haring artwork with me. Feel free to try the other activities if you have time. I'd love to see your work. Have an awesome day.